October 9th, 2025. In the city of Chasiv Yar in eastern Ukraine, a group of Russian soldiers hiding in buildings are detected by reconnaissance drones. FPV kamikaze drones directed to the area from the command center immediately move into attack position. After the first attack, the ruined buildings where the Russian soldiers were hiding are severely damaged. Enemy infantry try to flee in panic and fear. However, Ukrainian kamikaze drones do not allow them to escape. Russian soldiers escaping from the buildings use vegetation for camouflage. However, this does not escape the observation drones. Careful tracking turns the enemy into a target. Kamikaze drones suddenly attack these hidden enemy soldiers and neutralize them. October 10, 2025. Ukraine's Storm Unit had launched FPV kamikaze drones against Russian soldiers using abandoned buildings as shelters. The FPV drone operator locked onto the narrow window of the building and effectively carried out its first attack. The unit also targeted enemy elements in open areas outside using vampire drones. Vampire drones skillfully target enemy soldiers hiding in open areas. The bombs sent to them hit their targets with precision and neutralize them. The unit also uses thermal imaging systems on its drones to more easily detect enemy soldiers hiding in forested areas. Kamikaze drones on standby then carry out destruction attacks on detected enemy targets with lightning-fast dives. The signals of enemy unmanned aerial vehicles detected in the area are first jammed. Enemy drones that come under the control of Ukrainian units are destroyed by bombs sent from vampire drones. October 8, 2025. This civilian-looking vehicle belongs to Russian soldiers. The enemy soldiers wanted to make it look civilian. However, a kamikaze drone that came to meet them launched a fierce attack. A fierce attack is coming, and a huge explosion occurs. Some of the Russian soldiers jump out of the vehicle and escape the first attack, but they are still under surveillance. Noticing this, a Russian soldier immediately starts firing at the Ukrainian reconnaissance drone with his weapon. None of the bullets fired from the infantryman's weapon bring down the reconnaissance drone. Another enemy vehicle nearby, an ATV, is targeted by the FPV kamikaze drone. The operator goes into a rapid dive. The kamikaze drone locks onto the moving enemy target and launches a fierce attack, rendering the vehicle immobile. The Russian infantryman's vehicle starts to burn. The enemy infantryman is forced to abandon his vehicle. Ukrainian forces had already prepared the kamikaze drone for a new attack. They wanted to strike before the enemy disappeared from view. The drone operator entered a silent approach. After making a sharp maneuver in the sky, it locked onto a Russian soldier near the vehicle and, diving hard, managed to neutralize the enemy soldier. A Ukrainian Air Force MiG-29 fighter jet targeted a Russian ammunition depot located on Ukraine's southern front. The aircraft destroyed the munitions depot using two AAASM hammer-guided bombs supplied by France. After the bombs hit their target, the ammunition inside the depot began to heat up and explode. This caused a series of secondary explosions. The magnitude of the explosions and their chain reaction indicate that there was a large amount of ammunition. A Russian MTLB vehicle that was caught on the radar of Ukrainian forces was rendered completely unusable by a successful kamikaze drone attack. The kamikaze drone targeted the armored vehicle's engine compartment. As the armored vehicle continued to move slowly across the terrain, Ukrainian drones launched a series of sudden attacks on it. As a result of these rapid attacks, the armored vehicle instantly turned into a fireball. Violent explosions reduced the vehicle to a pile of metal. The crew inside the vehicle was neutralized during the attacks. The MTLB vehicle is a Soviet-made multi-purpose light armored track carrier. It is typically used to transport personnel, ammunition, or equipment. October 11, 2023. Ukraine's Black Sky. 3rd BRLP-NGU. Spartan and operators once again turned quiet fields into a precise battlefield. The unit succeeded in neutralizing hidden enemies in a night operation. They then attacked Russian military vehicles. Throughout the day-long operations, enemy infantry were specifically targeted. Russian soldiers attempting to infiltrate Ukrainian positions were first detected by reconnaissance drones. Subsequently, the assault team used kamikaze drones to hunt down enemy infantry one by one. No matter where Russian soldiers hide, they are successfully hunted down. October 12, 2025. A Russian armored combat vehicle attempting to advance toward Ukrainian positions is successfully stopped by an FPV kamikaze drone attack. Shortly thereafter, the destruction process takes place. The Russian army continues to launch daily attacks on Ukrainian territory. The enemy is advancing toward Ukrainian positions, primarily using unmanned aerial vehicles. The Ukrainian army is primarily attempting to neutralize these aerial vehicles in the air. Enemy aircraft are usually destroyed in the air, but sometimes attack drones are brought down to the ground using jamming systems. After that, kamikaze drones are deployed to destroy the enemy's unmanned aerial vehicles. Drone operators carry out these tasks meticulously. They lock onto enemy vehicles with great precision. Immediately afterwards, they succeed in destroying Russian unmanned aerial vehicles with a direct hit. Russian forces had positioned a large number of kamikaze drones in the area to protect their logistics routes. As a result of the intense efforts of Ukrainian forces in the area, the enemy drone signals were first disrupted. Subsequently, successful attacks were carried out against enemy unmanned aerial vehicles on these logistics routes. Thanks to this successful operation by the troops, the Russian army's ammunition supply to its own positions was also cut off. Following the operation, the logistics routes in the region were once again taken over by the Ukrainian army. The Ukrainian Air Force launched another precision strike using MiG-29 fighter jets. The targets belonging to the enemy army had been identified through prior reconnaissance and intelligence work. Intelligence reports had pinpointed the target. The target was Russian troops stationed in a settlement in southern Ukraine. Intelligence had confirmed that these houses had been converted into shelters for fighters. Just hours earlier, armored units and ammunition had been piled up among the civilian-looking structures. Two French-made AASM Hammer guided bombs loaded onto the Ukrainian warplane locked onto the laser-designated target. Thanks to precision guidance technology, the Hammer bombs headed toward their target with almost zero deviation. The first bomb pierced the center of the roof and fell onto the ammunition depot. The second bomb hit the adjacent building, leaving no chance of escape for the personnel inside. The explosion turned the structures into balls of fire. The presence of fuel and ammunition together made chain reactions inevitable. The mission was successfully completed. As the MiG-29 returned to its route, it left behind only destroyed positions, rising smoke, and silence. The Ukrainian 8th Special Purpose Regiment and 1st Airborne Reconnaissance Group, UAREG, carried out a remarkable operation in the village of Yelizavetivka in Russia's Kursk region. Ukrainian troops had identified the location of enemy targets in the area, where Russian forces were heavily concentrated, using reconnaissance drones. After monitoring enemy activity in the area for a while, the reconnaissance units relayed the coordinates of Russian targets to artillery systems. Artillery units fired effectively at the enemy targets. A violent explosion occurred in Kursk after the artillery's first salvo. Russian soldiers in the area panicked and immediately began running toward shelters. The observation drone that directed the operation immediately relayed the coordinates of the shelters where enemy soldiers were hiding to the artillery unit. Several effective artillery strikes were also made on the shelters. These intense artillery strikes, carried out one after another, gave the enemy infantry no chance to breathe. The shelters and buildings in the area were virtually destroyed. After the enemy soldiers were neutralized thanks to the observation drones, the locations of the enemy firing systems in the area were also identified. Russian forces had camouflaged the D-30 howitzer inside the wooded area, but it didn't take long for the observation units to detect it. After the highly accurate shots of the artillery units, another artillery system of the enemy in the area was completely destroyed. In the final stage of the operation, another important enemy target was destroyed. This target was the residences of Russian UAV operators. Artillery units fired a high destructive power bomb at this important target. The bomb, which hit its target with precision, turned the enemy building into a cloud of dust.